Before dawn, while the lamp still burned in the palace and the streets of Rome lay under a grey winter hush, an emperor opened his eyes. Outside his chamber, the machinery of the world waited for him. Messengers carried reports from the frontier, governors demanded decisions, senators prepared speeches shaped like daggers, grain merchants watched the markets, generals watched the rivers. Somewhere beyond the palace walls, a crowd had already begun gathering with petitions. Every voice believed itself urgent. Every person believed his matter deserved the emperor's immediate attention. Marcus Aurelius rose into that storm each morning. He carried the weight of an empire that stretched from the rain-dark forests of Britain to the hot borders of Egypt. A decision made before breakfast could move 10,000 soldiers. A careless word could feed a feud. A delayed order could cost a city. The world reached for his mind before his feet touched the floor. So he wrote. He wrote reminders to himself in private, with no audience waiting and no publisher hovering nearby. He wrote because the ruler of Rome faced the oldest problem in human life: how to keep possession of your own mind when the whole world wants a piece of it. That question has followed us out of the palace and into the pocket. Today, the petitioners arrive through glass. The messenger wears a glowing icon. The merchant rings a pleasant chime. The crowd enters through a feed. The frontier report becomes a headline. The senator becomes a commentator. The jester becomes an influencer. Every voice still believes itself urgent, and every app would like a chair inside your skull. Marcus Aurelius would delete half of them. He would do it without ceremony. He would hold down the little icon until it trembled, tap the corner, and remove it from the kingdom. Then he would return to his work. This episode concerns attention, the small kingdom inside the mind that every merchant wants to enter and every machine wants to govern. It concerns the moral weight of what we notice and the discipline required to remain present while 1,000 invisible hands tug at the sleeve. Marcus Aurelius lived before the smartphone, yet he understood the trap waiting inside it. He knew that a human life takes the shape of repeated attention. He knew that the mind becomes familiar with whatever enters it most often. He knew that distraction begins as a visitor and ends as a ruler. To understand what he can teach us, we need to leave the glowing screen for a while and walk into ancient Rome. We need to enter the chamber of a man who possessed the world and still feared losing himself. Marcus Aurelius was born in the year 121 into a Roman family surrounded by status, education, and expectation. As a child, he drew the attention of Emperor Hadrian. Roman politics often resembled a family supper where everyone brought a knife, so imperial favor carried danger beside privilege. One emperor adopted another man, who then adopted Marcus. Through this chain of political inheritance, the boy moved toward the throne. He received the education of a future ruler. Teachers trained him in law, tutors taught him rhetoric, philosophers introduced him to the Stoics. Those philosophers gave him something more valuable than courtly polish. They gave him a way to govern the inner life. The Stoics believed that a person possessed direct command over judgment and conduct. Fortune could strip away wealth, disease could weaken the body, public opinion could turn like weather over the sea. The inner response remained a field of freedom, though that freedom required discipline. Marcus took the lesson seriously. As a young man, he preferred a plain cloak to the costume of luxury. He slept on a hard bed until his mother persuaded him to use a covering. He studied the lives of men who treated character as a craft. He watched how vanity entered through small doors. He learned that appetite grows bold when obeyed too quickly. The palace trained men to expect comfort. Philosophy trained Marcus to examine it. Then power arrived. In the year 161, Marcus Aurelius became emperor of Rome. He shared rule with Lucius Verus, his adoptive brother. The arrangement gave Rome two emperors, though history remembers one with far greater clarity. Lucius enjoyed pleasure, Marcus carried duty. Lucius traveled east to oversee a war against Parthia, while Marcus remained in Rome and managed the vast burden of government. The war ended in victory. The soldiers returned carrying something darker than triumph. A plague spread through the empire. People died in great numbers. Trade faltered. Military strength weakened. Fear traveled faster than official messages. Rome faced a crisis that entered homes, barracks, markets, and temples. Marcus watched an empire suffer from an enemy no army could surround. Then the northern tribes crossed the Danube, and war returned. The emperor, who preferred books to battle, rode toward the frontier. He spent years in military camps amid cold, rain, mud, disease, and exhaustion. The philosopher became a commander because duty placed the burden in his hands. At night, beside the frontier, Marcus wrote to himself. Those private notes became the work we call the Meditations. They contain no polished system. They read like the record of a man repeatedly pulling his mind back into order. He reminds himself that anger damages the one who carries it. He tells himself to meet difficult people with patience. He writes that death belongs to nature. He urges himself to perform the task before him with care. Again and again he returns to attention. He tells himself to remain with the present act. He warns against wandering into the minds of other people. He watches his own thoughts as a guard watches the palace gate. The ruler of the known world spent a surprising amount of time telling himself to stop getting distracted. That detail should comfort us. Self-command never became effortless for him. The emperor practiced because the mind kept slipping away. The discipline lived in the return. A thought wandered, and he brought it back. Anger rose, and he examined it. Flattery arrived, and he measured it. Fear entered, and he placed it beside duty. Marcus ruled during years that would have broken many men. Plague haunted the cities. War strained the treasury. Floods damaged Rome. Famine followed. Political betrayal came from inside his own command. One of his generals, Avidius Cassius, declared himself emperor after hearing a false rumor that Marcus had died. Cassius expected support. He gathered loyalty in the eastern provinces. Civil war seemed ready to open another wound across the empire. Marcus prepared to march. He spoke to his soldiers with restraint and hoped to pardon Cassius. Before the emperor arrived, Cassius was killed by his own men. The severed head of the rebel was sent to Marcus. He refused to look at it. Here was power at its most dangerous. A rival had betrayed him. The empire would have accepted fury. The army would have applauded punishment. The court would have dressed vengeance in the language of justice. Marcus guarded the gate. He refused to let another man's treachery dictate the condition of his soul. He saw the event. He saw the feeling it produced. He chose the response. That space between event and response became his inner throne. Marcus later returned to the northern frontier. He continued the campaigns and grew older inside tents and fortresses, while Rome remained far away. In the year 180, he died near the Danube. His son Commodus inherited the empire. Commodus had grown up amid privilege. He loved spectacle, praise, and the theater of power more than the work of rule. He entered the arena as a gladiator and demanded applause. He treated Rome as a stage built for his reflection. The father had spent a lifetime disciplining attention. The son demanded attention from everyone else. That contrast contains the whole tale. Marcus turned inward to govern himself. Commodus turned outward to feed himself. One man asked what duty required. The other asked who was watching. Rome felt the difference. The lesson reaches us through the centuries with remarkable force. An empire can survive invasion longer than it can survive a ruler addicted to applause. A person can suffer the same fate. The modern attention economy begins with a simple fact. Human attention has value. A company that holds your attention can show you advertisements. It can gather information about your habits. It can steer you toward purchases. It can learn what frightens you, what irritates you, and what keeps you awake after midnight. The phone became the most intimate marketplace ever built. It travels beside the body. It sleeps near the bed. It enters the bathroom with us, a triumph Rome never achieved even at its most imperial. Apps compete for pieces of consciousness. They use color, sound, motion, reward, suspense, and social pressure. A red circle suggests unfinished business. A vibration creates urgency. A feed removes natural stopping points. A streak turns daily use into ritual. A recommendation arrives before desire has fully formed. The machine watches what holds you, then gives you more of it. This resembles a magic mirror from an old tale. You approach it seeking information. The mirror studies your face. It learns which image keeps you standing there. Soon the mirror shows less of the world and more of your own appetite. You see anger because anger held you yesterday. You see vanity because vanity slowed your thumb. You see fear because fear kept you from closing the screen. The mirror becomes skilled at reflection and poor at wisdom. Marcus Aurelius would understand the danger because Stoicism treats attention as part of character. The object before the mind shapes the mind's habits. Repeated attention becomes repeated judgment. Repeated judgment becomes conduct. A feed can therefore train the soul. That training happens quietly. No villain enters the room wearing a black cape. No machine announces an intention to scatter your concentration. The loss arrives in teaspoons. You check one message. You glance at one headline. You watch one short clip. Then the morning has holes in it. The mind begins expecting interruption. Silence feels strange. A difficult paragraph feels heavy. A conversation slows down, and the hand reaches for the phone before thought enters the movement. The device starts as a tool. Habit gives it a crown. Marcus Aurelius begins with the gate. In the Meditations, he repeatedly returns to the idea that impressions arrive before judgment. Something happens. The mind receives an image of it. Then the person decides what that image means. A notification works in the same way. The phone vibrates. That vibration contains no command. The mind adds the command. Look now, answer now, something important may be waiting. The Stoic pauses at that moment. He separates the signal from the judgment. A vibration means that an app produced a vibration. The urgency comes later. This seems like a small distinction. It can recover an entire day. Most apps survive by turning signals into commands. They train users to respond before choosing. The sound enters the body first. The decision follows behind, panting. Marcus would reverse the order. He would choose before responding. He would allow urgent access to people whose needs carry real moral weight. He would give lesser access to systems designed for convenience. He would silence merchants who confuse a sale with a summons. The emperor had petitioners. We have push notifications. Both require a gatekeeper. Marcus also tells himself to perform each action as though it were the final action of his life. The phrase carries gravity, though its daily meaning remains plain. Give the act before you your full presence. When reading, read. When speaking with someone, listen. When working, work. The smartphone breaks experience into fragments. It places a second room inside every room. A person sits at dinner while mentally standing inside an argument elsewhere. A worker opens a document while part of his mind waits for a message. A parent hears a child speak while the screen glows near the plate. The body remains present while attention leaves by a side passage. This division creates a strange exhaustion. The mind performs constant border crossings. It enters work, leaves for a message, returns to work, leaves for a headline, then returns again. Each crossing consumes energy. By evening, the person feels busy, though the day contains little wholeness. Marcus would see this as a failure of rule. The mind has allowed every minor visitor to interrupt the council. A ruler who responds to every whisper loses the empire. A person who responds to every alert loses the hour. Marcus also distrusted fame. He reminded himself that both the praised and the praiser would soon disappear. He saw reputation as unstable weather in the minds of others. Social platforms turn that weather into numbers. Likes count approval. Views measure attention. Followers create a visible court. The user begins performing before an unseen crowd. This performance changes conduct. A meal becomes content. A trip becomes proof. A private opinion becomes a public signal. A moment arrives with the question, how will this appear? Commodus would have adored the front-facing camera. He entered the arena dressed as Hercules. He demanded that Rome witness his greatness. He charged the city enormous fees for his appearances. He converted rule into spectacle. The modern platform offers each user a small arena. The crowd may be tiny. The hunger can still become imperial. Marcus would ask whether the post serves a real purpose. He would ask whether the image records a memory or begs for judgment. He would ask whether the thought deserves expression or merely seeks applause. These questions cut through fog because they return the user to intention. Marcus lived among difficult people. He begins one famous passage by preparing himself to meet the meddling, the ungrateful, the arrogant, and the deceitful. He expected friction and refused surprise. Online systems feed on emotional intensity. Anger keeps people engaged. Outrage produces comments. Conflict stretches attention. A calm person closes the app. An enraged person refreshes. The platform therefore places irritants before the mind. A foolish opinion appears. A rude stranger speaks. A headline strips away context. The user feels summoned into battle. He writes a reply, then another. Soon he has spent 40 minutes fencing with a person named Wolf King 1776, whose profile picture appears to be a truck. Rome had barbarians at the frontier. We have men arguing beneath weather reports. Marcus would recognize the temptation to surrender peace in exchange for a moment of superiority. He would remember that anger often punishes its carrier before reaching its target. He would close the gate. This response requires strength. Rage feels active. Restraint can feel passive. Stoicism reveals something deeper. The person who controls the response exercises command. The person who reacts on cue becomes predictable. Machines love predictable people. Many apps also create desire before satisfying it. The feed offers novelty without completion. Each item promises a small reward. The reward fades quickly, so the thumb moves again. This resembles drinking salt water from a jeweled cup. The vessel looks rich, the thirst grows. Marcus practiced voluntary simplicity because appetite expands when indulged. Comfort asks for greater comfort. Praise asks for louder praise. Stimulation asks for faster stimulation. The discipline of refusal keeps appetite within human scale. Deleting an app becomes a form of fasting. The person discovers that the urge rises, reaches a crest, and passes. The mind learns that desire can speak without receiving obedience. That discovery carries majesty. A human being can feel an impulse and remain free. The machine may predict the urge, it cannot command the soul without cooperation. Marcus thought often about death. He used mortality to clarify value. A short life cannot hold every distraction. The hour spent in trivia never returns wearing an apology. The attention economy prefers forgetfulness. It encourages endless continuation. One more clip, one more refresh, one more argument. The feed has no final page because a final page would return you to yourself. Mortality creates the stopping point. You possess a limited number of mornings. You possess a limited number of meals with your parents. You possess a limited number of evenings while your children remain young. You possess a limited number of chances to master a craft. Attention decides where those hours go. This gives app deletion moral seriousness. The act concerns the shape of a life. It declares that some things deserve time and others deserve none. Marcus would delete the app because the app steals from a mortal treasury. He would feel no hatred toward the technology. He would simply refuse the trade. The discipline begins with an honest inventory. Take the phone in your hand and look at the icons. Ask what each one does to your mind. Some apps serve a clear purpose. A map leads you home. A banking tool pays the bill. A message connects you with someone you love. Other apps create a fog around purpose. You open them without deciding. You leave them carrying agitation. You return because the habit has learned the path. Those are the first candidates for removal. Delete the app that turns boredom into obedience. Delete the app that leaves you angrier than it found you. Delete the app that makes your own life feel small through constant comparison. The empty space on the screen may look strange at first. That strangeness reveals how fully the icon had entered routine. Let the space remain. A blank square can become a tiny gate. Then examine notifications. Most deserve silence. A notification should represent a real claim upon your attention. Family may deserve that claim. Work may deserve it during chosen hours. Emergency alerts deserve it by their nature. A retailer has no claim upon your nervous system. A platform has no right to interrupt dinner because someone posted a photograph. A game can wait for its imaginary kingdom to burn. The peasants will survive. Turn off the noise and let the phone become quiet enough to serve. Then consider where the device lives. A phone within reach becomes part of thought. Even a silent phone can divide attention when it sits on the table. The mind knows the portal is present. Place it in another room during work. Leave it outside the bedroom. Keep it away from meals. Physical distance gives moral intention a wall. Marcus wrote reminders because intention weakens under pressure. A chosen place performs the same service. The phone belongs somewhere. That place should rarely be the center. Recover the beginning of the day as well. The first moments after waking carry unusual power. The mind rises from sleep open and unguarded. Many people immediately invite the world inside. Messages arrive, headlines enter. Other people's moods become the weather of the morning. Marcus began with preparation. He reminded himself what kind of person he intended to be before meeting the demands of empire. Create that space. Read a page. Pray. Write a few lines. Stand near a window and let the day arrive without commentary. The morning should belong to the soul before it belongs to the feed. Then practice deliberate entry. Before opening an app, name the reason. I am checking the address. I am sending this message. I am reading the report. Purpose creates a boundary. When the task ends, leave. This sounds almost absurd because apps train us to wander. A person opens one tool for a reason and soon finds himself watching a stranger repair an antique toaster. The toaster shines, the day disappears. Deliberate entry restores the path home. Learn to endure the empty moment. Waiting in line, sitting in a car before an appointment, standing in an elevator. These small gaps once belonged to thought. Now they belong to screens. Leave some gaps unfilled. Look around. Notice the room. Let the mind drift without a merchant guiding it. Boredom often opens the door to memory, reflection, or discovery. Constant stimulation nails the door shut. A person who can sit quietly possesses a form of wealth that no company can manufacture. You will fail. The phone will find its way back to the bed. The deleted app may reappear. The quiet morning may collapse into headlines. The old habit may return wearing a fresh icon. Marcus would recognize the pattern. His meditations exist because he kept forgetting and remembering. He corrected himself without theatrical despair. He returned to the gate. Stoic discipline lives in that return. Each correction strengthens the ruler within. Each refusal teaches the appetite its proper size. Each quiet hour proves that attention can come home. There is an old image hidden inside the story of Marcus Aurelius. A lamp burns in a military tent near the edge of the empire. Outside, soldiers sleep beneath a cold sky. Beyond them, the dark forest holds enemies. The plague moves through distant cities. Rome waits far to the south, restless beneath marble roofs. Inside the tent, The emperor bends over a page. He cannot control the weather. He cannot command every general's loyalty. He cannot prevent death from entering the camp. He can govern the next thought. He can choose the next act. He can guard the small flame of attention against the wind. We carry that same flame. The forest now glows with screens. The merchants speak through glass. The crowd travels in the pocket. The old temptations have gained better graphics and faster delivery. The human task remains. Guard the gate. Choose what enters. Give the hour to something worthy. A life gathered around attention begins to feel whole again. The face across the table becomes vivid. The book opens slowly and gives up its wonder. Work deepens into craft. Prayer regains silence. The world recovers texture because the mind has stopped fleeing from it. Marcus Aurelius would delete half your apps because he understood the value of a mortal hour. He would keep the tools that serve. He would remove the machines that demand tribute. Then he would place the phone down, lift his eyes, and return to the duty before him. The gate stands open. The lamp still burns. The mind can still come home. A grand world awaits.